In this demo, we will show how DevOps teams can integrate and deploy apps at the edge using Rancher K3s and GitLab. Edge has specific challenges such as size and resource constraints, and also a lack of physical access that can make it difficult to mitigate any potential problems. To overcome these challenges, leveraging cloud-native technologies makes perfect sense. Containers provide the ease of portability, small footprint, and efficiency to run applications on platforms such as gateways and servers at the edge of a network that are typically closer to the data generated by IoT devices. While containers act as the vehicle to host apps and microservices at the edge, we need to take a closer look at the methodology of developing and deploying the apps as well, particularly the need for CI/CD. Beyond the many advantages, using continuous integration and continuous delivery reduces the risk by supporting small, incremental changes to an application. Problems can then be rapidly detected and mitigated before damaging production environments. For this demo, we will show how we use Rancher K3s, a lightweight Kubernetes distribution for container management, and GitLab for code management to deploy edge-native apps. Let's go over the workflow. Broadly, there are 3 steps: build, deploy, and update. In the first step, the developer commits the code to GitLab repository. After the commit, a pipeline gets triggered in GitLab, and the GitLab runner picks up the build job, compiles the code, creates a Docker image, and pushes the changes to Docker registry. In the next stage, the application Docker image is pulled from the registry and deployed on the K3s cluster. When a small incremental update is made to the application code, the process repeats again, and a new version of application is deployed on the K3s cluster. Now let's look at the demo. Here we have a self-hosted GitLab repository where we pre-populated few files shown here. Here is a web application developed in the popular Go language. We also see the GitLab CI YAML file and the Docker file. And finally, we have the Kubernetes deployment specs. Let's take a closer look at each of these files. We are using a web-based application developed in Go that has a simple welcome message printed as shown here. Now, let's take a look at the GitLab CI file. This has primarily 2 stages. We are going to see the build stage where we build our application and push its Docker image to the registry. And then we are going to see the deploy stage where we deploy the application on K3s cluster. Let's go back to the Docker file, which is a multi-stage file. Here we are using the Alpine Linux based as the operating system. We will take a look at the deployment YAML file in the later part. Let's go through the build process now, for which we'll open the Go file and edit the welcome message as shown here. Then we hit commit changes. This automatically triggers a job pipeline, and we can see that there are 2 jobs, build and deploy. Clicking on these jobs show the details on what is being done in the background. The build process is complete and the job is successful. Let's go back to the registry and hit refresh. We see a new image created just now from the build stage. Let's check the status on the second job, which is the deploy stage. If we go back to the GitLab CI file, we see the image that has the kubectl utility that interacts with the K3s cluster. It connects to the cluster using the server API and the credentials stored in GitLab. The deployment file is located in the main folder. This is required for the deployment on K3s cluster. Here, we are using 3 replica sets and rolling updates and making sure that the pods are running in a highly available manner. Let's check the status in the pipeline on the deploy job. The job seems to be completed. If we check the status, we see that it has picked all the details from the deployment YAML file and applied the changes. The changes are now live. To recap, let's see the Go application where we edited the welcome message in the first step. When we open the front-end web application and hit refresh, we see the new message successfully deployed. The deployment of this happens without any downtime of the application itself. We can see that in the Kubernetes dashboard, acting as a single control plane where new containers are created with the deployment specs. This actually shows how you can use GitLab and K3s to continually build and deploy highly available applications on the edge devices. Thank you.